Hi there, welcome back. I'm Sean Osterlink, and this is Overcoming with ACT. It's been a while since I've posted a video and decided I should put some more content on here. I've just been itching to get back into the YouTube game, so here I am. I thought something I would talk about today, or at least start talking about. I probably will need maybe to make a few videos on this because it's really potentially a lot of different stuff. But lest I make videos too long, I thought I would talk about what is it that counselors are doing during a session, or at least maybe ideally doing during a session. What are the skills that we are trained in and that we're practicing? Because when a session is actually happening, you might wonder somewhere in your mind, like, do I just kind of talk to this person and they're just kind of sitting there listening to me, or this just kind of feels like a conversation? Like, um, there's jokes and maybe cynicism that like therapy is like a paid friend and things like that, and um, so I thought, well, I would just tease out some of the different processes that are going on our end that we're aware of as therapists, and hopefully doing intentionally. I try to be doing intentionally, and so let's see where we go with this. I like to do my videos pretty on the spot and be pretty flexible. So anyway, I've got my little tablet here to guide me in this conversation. But conversation, monologue, my monologue. I talk to you. Yeah. So the first thing I would hit on here is that part of our role as the therapist is to create what's called a therapeutic alliance. That's a fancy term for creating like this relationship here where it's a professional relationship with boundaries, rules, and expectations, and that make therapy different than any other relationship in your life. Right, we're here to listen and empathize with you, and explore situations, and look at applying different cognitive tools and provide information, different things. But the only way any of that stuff really matters is if we've got a good relationship here, a working relationship where um, you want to be here, and you feel connected with the therapist enough that you want to keep coming and that they understand you. And so that's the therapeutic alliance. We're mindful as therapists that we want to have a good rapport as we're working, and there's a certain rapport just by the fact that we're the professional. We've gone through this education. We've gone through licensing to be here, and so you as the client come sit down on the couch and start talking to a stranger. I'm a stranger to anybody who's just meeting me for the first time, and yet there's this expectation of professionalism that allows people to very quickly, often, to start talking about things that are really private and personal. And so there's some of that alliance can just come from the fact that we are professionals in what we do. At the same time, part of alliance building is setting goals, which is also something that is a very CBT kind of thing, cognitive behavioral therapy. Um, that's part of what I do, and that means that as we're working, we're going to have specific objectives that we're trying to meet. And so I, as the therapist, am mindful of goals that we're coming up with when we're coming up with treatment plans and when we're meeting during the intake. And sometimes people get really specific goals. Sometimes goals are more open and maybe more broad or general. And sometimes, especially for insurance purposes, I'll guide you in coming up with really specific SMART goals because insurance likes to see that kind of thing. But I like to go with what the client is needing and then help tease out how we can take steps to get there and aim for things. And so, right, having goals is part of what helps that rapport, because then you're coming here to meet for a specific reason. In therapy, we're on a mission together as we meet for this like 53-minute period of time. And so even though at times we'll be maybe very focused on pursuing that mission, that goal, and other times we may be wandering around because there's different skills, different areas, there's different things that come up during the week that we need to address, and yet and yet as a therapist I still keep in mind the goals that are bringing you in, the symptoms that are bringing you in, and so that helps with the rapport process as well. There's also confidentiality, of course. That's something that separates this relationship from other sorts of relationships in your life. This is a one-sided sort of situation, relationship, in which you, the client, are sharing things about your life. Me, as the therapist, I'm sharing very little about my own life. Really, we only disclose things if it's in the service of you, the client, if it's important for building your sense of rapport and connection. Sometimes there's things that where we as a therapist can feel like it's something maybe important to share that can build that therapeutic bond and be helpful for the client in their own life. But we need to be very mindful and careful as far as the kinds of things that we're disclosing, because it's not about us and it's not about putting our stuff on the client. And so as therapists, we need to be very attuned to what's going on with the client and our own interactions and process with the client to keep things focused there, and that our own stuff is not bleeding into the counseling session. But so Therapeutic Alliance and all of that, just to say that this process doesn't really work without having a good bond, a good alliance, a good relationship. If you don't like your therapist, if you find them off-putting or offensive, or something's happened in that therapeutic relationship where you've been hurt by it in some way, or there's just something about it that doesn't feel like a fit, then that can really get in the way of making progress in treatment. And so it's really important to find that good fit, and also to maintain that relationship as you're working. It's important, and we try to be mindful as therapists and to check in with the client. How is this relationship going? Are there any areas that we need to repair? It's at some point along the way, it's possible that we might put our foot in our mouth and say something that wasn't quite right, or didn't hit right, or hurts feelings or something in some way. We can make mistakes too, as we're people, and every therapy session is potentially fraught with landmines to be aware of, or to be careful about, as we're working with people who are in fragile places in their lives and in need of care. And so we can make mistakes along the way that need repair. And so all of that's important to maintaining that alliance. And with that, as you work through things potentially in that therapeutic relationship, that's also that can end up being practice that carries over into other relationships in your lives too. Sometimes repair is needed in a therapeutic relationship, and so how you handle things in therapy can also carry over into how you handle things in the rest of your life as well. And so with your therapist is an opportunity to work on how do you handle when hurts or upsets may happen. So anyway, that is kind of the Therapeutic Alliance in a nutshell. When good alliance is happening, then there's a lot of opportunity to grow, because really it's like that relationship is just working, and the more that's working, the more it's like water flowing through a pipe without blockages, and the less there's other junk in the way, as far as like, is this a fit? Do they understand me? If it just feels like it's flowing, then that is just more space for you to be doing the work in your treatment. So I think that's a good place to stop as I reach the 10-minute point. I want to be mindful of time. So thank you for joining me today for another episode. And I think I'll maybe make some more episodes around what we do as therapists. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.